If anyone had told Evelyn that being the poorest girl in the school would lead her straight into the arms of a billionaire, she would have laughed in their face. After all, her life was as predictable as it was hard. Early morning lectures, hours working in the library as an assistant just to scrape together small change, and nights lying awake worrying about how to pay her mother's hospital bills back home. She was the poor girl everyone mocked. Her clothes were faded, her shoes always close to tearing apart. Even in the cramped hostel room she shared with 2 other girls, they mocked her for not owning an iPhone, for never going out to eat or have fun like they did. One day, though, something in her snapped. She had just returned from class to find Sandra, the loudest of her roommates, giggling with her friends over a bright-colored flyer she had ripped off the notice board. Evelyn ignored them and tried to pass, but Sandra shoved the flyer into her face. "Look at this nonsense," Sandra said, laughing. "Surrogacy for rich people's babies. You can apply too, Evelyn. At least then you might finally have money to buy soap to wash your bedsheets." Evelyn took the paper from Sandra's hand slowly. Her chest felt tight. She didn't respond. Instead, she read every word. The flyer said, "Looking for healthy young women to become surrogate mothers. Generous compensation. All medical costs covered. Call this number to apply." Sandra yanked it back. "Or maybe no rich person wants to use your kind of womb," she said with a sneer, and they all laughed. Evelyn went into the bathroom, locked the door. She copied the number into her phone. She was tired of being mocked and ridiculed. She was tired of not being able to help her sick mother financially, so she thought maybe this wasn't such a bad option. Besides, it was about helping bring life into this world. It wasn't a bad thing. 2 days later, Evelyn sat in a small waiting room in a quiet private office. Soon after, a woman came and attended to her. The woman told her that this particular client wanted to speak with the interested surrogate mother in person. She gave Evelyn a house address and asked her to go there the next day at noon. The next day, she walked nervously to the address until she arrived at a tall house with white walls and a heavy gate. She rang the bell and waited. A tall man in a navy blue suit came out. He looked serious but not unkind. He introduced himself as Daniel. "Ella," he said. "Yes," she whispered. "Come with me." He turned and walked in, and she followed him. They arrived at a very rich and luxurious living room, well furnished with artworks. The place felt like old money. They both sighed. "Thank you for coming," he said, sitting across from her. His voice was calm, but there was something tight in his jaw, like he didn't enjoy small talk. I saw the flyer," Evelyn whispered, twisting her hands in her lap. I want to apply. My name is Evelyn." He nodded. "I read your application. You're a student, you have no children of your own, you're healthy. That's good." She waited for him to go on. Daniel looked down, then back up at her. "I want to be clear with you. This is very important to me. I want someone who understands what they are doing. Someone who is serious." Evelyn swallowed. "I am serious," she said quickly. "Good," he said. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. For the first time, he looked a bit vulnerable. "Look, let me explain why I'm doing this. My father died a year ago. He built a company from the ground up, spent his life turning it into something big. Before he died, he left one condition for who would take over fully. Whoever wants to be the heir must have a child of their own. My brothers, they both have kids, but they've never cared about the company. They just want money and an easy life. I'm the one who's actually been running things, the one keeping the business alive. I deserve this. But I'm not married. I'm not even dating anyone. I don't want to get married just to prove a point to the world. So, I decided to have a child through surrogacy." Evelyn looked at him carefully. "Oh, so, you want me to carry your child? That's what this is about?" "Yes," Daniel said quietly. "But there's something else. You won't just be the carrier, I want to use your eggs." Evelyn's eyes widened. "I want the child to be fully mine. My blood, my family. Like I said, I don't have a woman in my life, and you don't look too bad, and from the paperwork I went through, you're healthy, so I want you to use your own egg. But legally, The child will belong to me alone. Evelyn blinked. So, the child would biologically be mine too? Yes, he said, almost whispering. You'll be the biological mother. But when the baby is born, you'll hand him or her over to me, and you'll be compensated. You can sign away your parental rights legally. I want to be honest with you about everything. She stared at him, her heart pounding. I don't know, she said softly. I've never even been with a man before. I'm a virgin. I didn't think. I thought it would be medical, like IVF. It will be medical, Daniel said quickly. No direct intimacy between us is involved. Everything is done in a clinic. You won't have to do anything you're uncomfortable with. I want this to be clean and proper. Evelyn looked down at her worn-out shoes. She clearly looks puzzled. Daniel spoke up. I need someone I can trust. Someone who won't try to twist this into something else. You seem like that kind of person, but I will understand if you don't want to. It's not an easy situation. Evelyn felt her eyes fill with tears, but she blinked them away. I'll do it, she whispered. I need the money. My mother is sick. And I need to finish school. Then we'll start immediately, Daniel said, his voice gentler. Thank you, Evelyn. The next few weeks went by in a blur. Evelyn was taken to private clinics, given countless tests, fed the best food, made to rest. Daniel checked in on her often. He wasn't cold anymore. Sometimes he engaged her in conversations where he asked about her classes. Slowly, Evelyn found herself getting more comfortable in his presence. Then one afternoon, the doctor called them both into the office. Congratulations. You're pregnant, the doctor said, smiling. Everything worked perfectly. Evelyn felt like the floor disappeared under her. She touched her belly, even though there was nothing to feel yet. She was carrying a child and she technically was still a virgin. Daniel let out a breath she hadn't realized he was holding. Thank you, he whispered, turning to her. He took her hand. Thank you so much. That night, Daniel insisted on taking her out to eat to celebrate. They went to a quiet restaurant not far from the hospital. Daniel was happy, even laughing, something she had never seen him do. When they got back to his house, Daniel turned to her, his eyes serious again. You've given me hope, he said quietly. You've given me more than you know. Evelyn didn't know what to say. But in that moment, she saw him as more than a rich man desperate for an heir. She saw the loneliness in his eyes, the way he had carried the weight of his family's company alone. Maybe it was the way he looked at her then, or maybe it was the way her heart beat in her chest, but she leaned closer. He did too. And their lips touched, gentle at first, then more urgent, like they had both been waiting for this moment all along. When they pulled away, breathing hard, Daniel rested his forehead on hers. I shouldn't have done that, he whispered. I don't want to confuse you. This isn't part of the agreement. I know, Evelyn said, her voice trembling. But, maybe it doesn't have to be just an agreement anymore. Daniel stared at her with intensity in his eyes and he grabbed her eager, kissing every inch of her body. The night turned into one of absolute bliss. That was the night she finally lost her virginity. The days that followed were soft and bright. Daniel became protective, showing up for scans, bringing her small gifts, comfortable shoes, herbal teas, anything he thought might help her. Meanwhile, the girls in her hostel whispered and laughed, but Evelyn ignored them. She had something bigger now. One night, Daniel invited her to his house. They sat in the living room, the soft glow of a lamp between them. I wish you could stay here with me, Daniel said suddenly. Evelyn looked at him. Why? Because I want you safe. Because I want you here with me, he said, his voice low. Evelyn smiled a little. I want that too, she whispered. That night, they made love again. Their relationship was growing into a very passionate one and they were growing in love with each other. The months passed. The baby grew. Evelyn grew stronger, more sure of herself. Daniel started talking about the future, not just about the company, but about her, about them. I don't want you to leave after the baby comes, he told her one night, holding her close. "I want us to be a family. I didn't plan for this, but I can't imagine life without you anymore." Evelyn cried then, happy tears. The poor girl mocked in the hostel halls had become the woman Daniel loved. The day she went into labor, Daniel never left her side. When their baby, a little boy, was placed in her arms, Daniel kissed her forehead and whispered, "You did it. We did it." In the weeks that followed, Daniel announced to the world that he had an heir, and the company was officially passed to him. But he didn't care about boardrooms or deals anymore. He spent his days with Evelyn and their son, learning how to be a father, learning how to let himself be loved. People still whispered about Evelyn at school, how the poor girl became the wife of a rich man, how she was lucky. But Evelyn didn't care. She was in love. She had been the pregnant virgin, but more than that, she had become someone who finally believed she deserved happiness. And Daniel made sure she never forgot it.